Yeah, so how to approach social justice conversations. I mean, it just seems like these days mixing the word social with the word justice is like mixing Mentos with soda. It's explosive, it's highly combustible. Um, and so my first bit of advice would be don't practice what I call the Newman effect, And I'm getting that from a 2018 viral interview between Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson and Channel 4's Kathy Newman. And it's sort of a hilarious debate because they're talking about all these hot button topics, and they cover the gender pay gap, transgenderism, all this combustible stuff. And Peterson would make a point, and Kathy Newman's response would be, so you're saying, that became a meme over the last couple of years, so you're saying women just aren't smart enough to run top companies. And he's like, no, not what I'm saying at all. So you're saying trans activists could lead to mass genocide. And he's like, no, not what I'm saying. So you're saying we should arrange our society to be like lobsters. And he's like, no, not what I'm saying at all. And so it quickly rose to meme status because that's just how we have conversations now. You hear somebody say something and the Newman effect kicks in. And so we choose to interpret it in the most cartoonish, damnable, and inflammatory light possible. So I would say that's the first way to not engage in social justice questions of our age. Don't assume the worst of other people. Think of if somebody says, racism is still a problem, which it is. If the Newman effect kicks in, then we'll say, oh, well, you're just some kind of neo-Marxist social justice warrior snowflake. If somebody says, well, maybe this or that isn't racism, oh, well, you're just an alt-right neo-Nazi white supremacist. And it's like, there's got to be a better way to have these conversations. If somebody says, during COVID-19, you should wear a mask, the Newman effect kicks in. And it's, oh, so you believe in government tyranny? You love totalitarianism? And they're like, not really what I was saying. Or we shouldn't wear a mask. And the Newman effect kicks in and it's, oh, so you want more grandmas to die? You're reckless with people's grandmas? It's like, come on, let's be biblical about this in terms of giving charity. Let's try our best to give the benefit of the doubt. Let's see if there's a kernel of truth in what somebody's saying first before we launch into attack mode. So that's the first bit of insight. I would say we need to really hear where people are coming from and start with, is there a point of contact between our two positions? The second thing I would say, how to engage social justice, is to listen hard to both sides and read the best and the brightest on both sides, because that's a really good way to inoculate ourselves from being taken captive by some kind of ideology, whether it's far left or far right. And so I would say, for example, if you're wrestling through racism and questions of systemic racism, don't just take the standard sort of mainstream narrative at face value. Go out and read some brilliant Black thinkers like Thomas Sowell or Glenn Loury or Coleman Hughes or Walter Williams or Shelby Steele or Chantel Monique Dusson. There's just a long list of brilliant thinkers who are going to challenge you if you're buying into the mainstream narrative. And then go read the other side. Read Ta-Nehisi Coates, read Beverly Tatum, read folks on both sides so that you aren't just getting swept up in propaganda. That would be my second bit of advice.